Hello and welcome to Mind Your Matters. My name is Amanda Jane, and today we have a special video on how to homeschool through life's difficult seasons. So I hope that this video is an encouragement to you. So I've been homeschooling my 4 children since the very beginning. So I have a couple tips and tricks and encouragement to give you if it's something that you're going through or you're preparing to go through. It's going to hit us all at different times, and it's nice to have some encouragement from some moms who've been there and can help you on through. We talk about all things homeschool, mom life, and sometimes a couple other fun things sprinkled in. Today we are doing a collab with Yasmin from Mommy on the Move, and she asked a couple of us to go ahead and chime in on the topic of homeschooling through the difficult seasons of life. So this isn't necessarily a how-to, like how to homeschool when you've had a flood in your basement, how to homeschool through construction, how to homeschool through military deployment, how to homeschool through illness and loss. Not necessarily that, but a what to do when it comes to how we should keep our attitude, some tips and tricks and things that you can do while you're working with your kids and still make homeschool happen, and to give yourself some grace, to give yourself forgiveness and step back a little bit so that you can go on forward even bigger and better. For the first thing that I thought about, the topic of homeschooling through the difficult seasons in life, I thought about just keeping it simple. Now, if you've been on this channel for any length of time, I put out a couple different videos about what we're gonna do this year. Not really our word of the year, but our focus of the year was simplicity, being minimal. I have the video and I'll link it above. More minimal homeschool is going to be major in our lives. And we've been doing that, and that really helps even in a time of a season. Like maybe you're rolling through, you're doing amazing, you have all the things, you're doing all of it. But when you need to go ahead and step back, you need to keep it simple. Of course, reassess your expectations versus reality. It's probably not realistic you keep going on the way you are, because things have changed. Maybe it's pregnancy, a baby, sickness or loss. For us, we've had this in our homeschool, a deployment, or a mom or a dad is gone from the picture for whatever reason for an extended period of time. We've had this, moving and home repair, definitely, and also the good times. A reason why you need to keep it simple. So what are our expectations? What do we call it? Back up a little bit so we don't back out. So we don't lose everything in our homeschool. So you need to back up a little bit so that later you can gain it back, or just simply change with the flow, change with the seasons. One thing with expectations I definitely had to come to grips with homeschooling my kids. Now my kids are still very young. If you've been here on this channel, I have four kids. You've probably heard it before. I've got a 3rd grader, I've got a 1st grader, and I also have a K-5 kindergarten 5-year-old, and then a preschooler. So the 4 kids. And with that, I had to come with grips with the expectation that they're not all going to have the same education. My firstborn had all of me all the time, and that doesn't mean that he got a better education than my other kids, but he definitely had more of me. And he also had an inexperienced me, so maybe it kind of weighed out, I don't know. With my 4 kids, I had to come to grips that they're all not going to learn maybe the same stuff, maybe from the same curriculum. They're in a different flow. They're in a different home situation than when I had 1, 2, 3, and then the 4th. So I need to let go of that expectation that they're all gonna go through my homeschool system like, I don't know, just like a machine, because that's not reality. Things change, people change, situations change, we get bigger and better, or we get worse. So there's all those things that change. We want to assess, do we need to go into survival mode? And what does survival mode look like? So for us, when my husband was deployed, I had 2 kids in a formal curriculum. And it was actually in the midst of COVID, which was just so awesome. Yeah. For a long extended time, he went away, and it was hard. It was hard to keep on with all the little books and all the readings and all the things when we were just trying to get by. I was being a mom and a dad. We didn't have any family nearby. even if I had my close friends, we were all going through that time of what is COVID, what is this, and how should we act and behave, in the early stage. And I didn't have a lot of the support system that I wanted or could have had. So that was hard too. So I needed to go into survival mode. That's just what made sense. It was hard to do about anything. So I went into survival mode, not to stay there and not to give up, but to back up, to figure out what was simple and what was needful at the time. And a new routine was going to create itself. We lost some time in homeschooling. We probably could have been ahead, but honestly, I'm so happy with what we decided to do. We kept our family unit close while my husband was deployed, and it was a difficult season. It was hard, but we were able to get through it and come out the other side and be okay. Everything was okay. Another thing is to try not to fight the season. Don't fight the season that you're in. I wanted to do all the things, especially during that deployment, through that difficult season. I wanted to do all the things. I didn't want to back up. I didn't want to change anything. I just wanted things to go on as business as usual. I got this. And I guess it was a little bit of pride. I don't know. Stupidity. I don't know. I gave that up really quickly. Survival mode was where I needed to go, where we needed to live until a new routine or schedule or what have you created itself, and it did. Things got better. So homeschool did get done. Did it get done like it did before? No, because we were having a difficult season during the deployments, during different things. You could really slide anything into that story. If I had a job, I had a boss, I had a paycheck coming in, whatever, to make it feel like a job, like a big J-O-B, a real one, what would I get? Okay, I'd get personal time off. I would get mental health days. I would have these allotted to me, and I wouldn't feel guilty about giving myself that day or taking that day, giving that to my family, backing up so I don't back out of things. Keep it simple. Maybe a substitute. I did a video on that as well, just a brief video, because recently in this past month, I went back and helped at a private Christian school where I used to work, because I am a trained secondary education teacher in history and business, but I've done so many other things. Experience really teaches you more, but that's what my diploma says, my diploma. So I needed to go ahead and get a substitute ready, which was my husband. And then also I took kids with me. So do you need to get a substitute? Maybe you can still keep on with homeschool, but it's not going to be all you all the time, because you do need to go through this difficult season. And if you are keeping it simple, maybe that's something that takes a load off your back so that you can recuperate from whatever type of difficulty you're going through in your season of life. I was actually talking to a new homeschool mom, a dear friend of mine, just the other day at a banquet at her church, and she has had sickness in her home, and her son, who's in the same grade as my son, was backed up a little bit. And she's like, well, I just don't know. Can I count those days? He did some stuff and da-da-da-da. And I pretty much talked to her and I said, listen, it's a difficult season. Put it in the perspective of if they were at a formal school, like how would things go down? Would they send them home and make them watch a 45-minute lesson on each subject that they missed in 3 weeks or 2 weeks or however long they were missing? No. Would they have them complete absolutely every worksheet, maybe half of them, whatever? Adjustments would be made, because that child also needs to come back in and go forward if they're in that school that's paced for other children and a big herd of children. You can't just throw someone back into that. So I was just talking with her and I was encouraging. I was like, you do what you need to do, but if you can count those days because there was some learning happening, even if it wasn't to the magnitude of your curriculum. We had a regular school situation. It wasn't homeschooling, and things were paced in another realm. Well, we would take care of it. We would adjust and we would make it work. So anyway, keep it simple is my first point there. Another one was get out. Not get out of homeschooling. You might have the situation of a new baby being born, a loss, some type of health issue, some type of home remodel, maybe a deployment like I just gave an example of, something like that. Getting out isn't always the best answer, because the seasons are going to change. Things are going to get better. It's just right now you're in a season of difficulty as we're talking about it. But getting out, I mean, like, get outside. Like, even today, we're in the midst of a warmer season Here it is Valentine's Day in Maine, but it's still kind of cold outside. But getting out can be other things. It can be FaceTiming friends. It can be getting out and joining a special little group get together or doing a special little field trip and whatever. Even just last Friday, we went ahead and we got donuts just because. We went to a wonderful little bakery in our town and we got our dozen donuts and it was a treat. They were Valentine's Day hearts. My kids loved it. And it was a treat for doing a good job on their week of school. So, just get out with your community, get out with your people, get out with your support group, the people that encourage you. And they don't necessarily have to be other homeschoolers, just people in your community, in your friend group that you find supportive and consoling, and they're gonna be with you on this. You're going through a difficult season. They're gonna help hold you up. The Bible says that iron sharpeneth iron. It says a friend loveth at all times. There's so many verses just talking about being together. Friends are a wonderful thing to have, but being a Christian, being saved, having Jesus in your life, and having a sister and brother in Christ that is saved also, just helping you out. I mean, it's just like God ordained. It is just so cool. What is with all these timers? So get out with your people, get with your support group, get with the people that encourage you, focus on your family dynamics. Maybe you have a lot of issues going on with the kids or to kids, mom to kid. I've had that. We have stuff going on now. It's just seasons. It's difficult. There's different times that are rough. Find positive people to be around. Look back and recognize progress is another one. Look back and recognize progress. It's hard to live on the positive side of life. Sometimes the negatives come out easier, especially as a mom, we're critiquing things and how can we improve? And we get hyper focused on that sometimes and not focus on that improvement. Any type of improvement is good. You've heard the phrase POP, progress over perfection. We're not gonna have perfection, but we're gonna have progress, and that's moving forward and that's improvement. So let's look at the positive side of things. That's gonna help lift you out, even if you do have a legitimate depressive season that you're in, whatever caused it is the problem, or just you're in it. Maybe it's a mental state, an attitude, whatever. It's so hard to dig out of it in a negative attitude. Try to recognize progress. I don't speak from a status of perfection, that's for sure. I'm working at this as much as anyone else, and the whole playlist is gonna have a whole bunch of ladies that have some wisdom and an insight, and I'm sure I am going to glean so much encouragement from it. So also check that out. I'll link that below. But one thing I thought about when I was putting together notes for this is moms don't give themselves the same grace, even kindness, and mercy that we give others. We don't give ourselves the ability to rest or whatever like we give others. We don't give ourselves forgiveness like we give others. We don't give ourselves understanding and, again, grace. We do that to almost everyone, but not to ourselves. I don't know why that is. We take things so hard. I mean, maybe you're not a mom that does that, but I know so many that do, and I'm one of them. So we are not graceful to ourselves like we are to others. So homeschooling can bring difficult seasons. This wasn't necessarily a how-to homeschool in a situation, but hopefully these tips and tricks will help you think about what to do when you're in the midst of a homeschooling situation and you have a difficult time, a difficult season coming up. Whatever caused it, just look at it from the perspective of, let's keep it simple. What's our basis for doing homeschooling? Let's look at our expectations versus the reality. Right now, things are changing. Things can't be static. If they're just not going to change, it can go stagnant. If you're having a difficulty and you need to change it up and you just hold on so hard to keep going in the same direction and do all the same things, you're probably going to hurt your family, you're going to hurt your homeschool, and you're not going to be achieving what you're in homeschool for. So keep it simple, assess your expectations versus reality, back up before you back out. So get out, be with the community, be with your encouragement people. You might not want to be with the folks that are against homeschooling or something like that, or they're not very supportive. Be with your people, be with your support group, be with your community that you can connect with. That's going to help you along. And then look back and recognize progress, because the season is just that. Bible says that there is a season and it's going to pass. There's a season for this. There's a season for harvest. There's a season for all the things, for planting. All of those are pictures in the Bible of this. There's seasons in our lives. There's things that happen at a certain time, but they're not going to be forever. It's not always winter. It's not always spring, so it's not always summer. So these are the things that I thought about when I was thinking about homeschooling through difficult seasons of life. So thank you, Yasmin, for having me. Thank you, ladies, in this playlist. And thank you, viewers, for watching and listening to all these tips and tricks. Let me know in the description box below, are there some things that you go ahead and do when you're going through a difficult season? Maybe you're not a homeschooler, or maybe you're just starting, or maybe you're in the thick of it. Go ahead and give me the tips and tricks down there. I can't wait to learn some other things that I'm sure I will need to put in my arsenal for the future, seeing I'm just in the middle of it. So thank you so much for being here. If you enjoyed your stay, and I deserve a thumbs up, that lets me know that you like this content, and also you could subscribe and stay a while. That would be wonderful to have you join our community. If you're visiting from another channel, welcome. Thank you for being here, and I hope that you can find some other friends and other channels that will help you along your homeschool journey in the description box below in the playlist. So thank you so much, and I hope that you have a lovely day. I am going to probably get a cup of coffee like usual, because it's afternoon time and I need to think towards dinner and all that. And being Valentine's Day, I wanted to have a couple special things for when hubby comes home and when the kids have dinner, and just try to have some extra fun and exciting things. So we'll see how that goes. We will catch you in the next video, and I hope to see you then. Bye.